What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Hot Toys 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. And today we are talking about another Tom Holland Spider-Man figure. In this today we're talking about Spider-Man Far From Home's the upgraded suit. And I believe I have a version of this suit already. Yeah, I have the upgraded suit in its battling damaged version, which is like the No Way Home version of that suit, I believe, because this suit goes from like the end of Spider-Man Far From Home into the beginning of Spider-Man No Way Home. But as you can see on the front of the box there, a little image of Spider-Man through the little Mysterio glass, and it kind of looks like Mysterio's head is the front of the box there. That's kind of cool. And then if you slide off this slip cover, nothing too much going on that, just some legal information around back. And then you got the Mysterio Illuminati logo, Spider-Man upgraded suit, MMS 542, 1/6 scale collectible figure. Nothing too crazy going around the back, just some green little hologram-ish Mysterio effects, some of the cast and crew that made this figure possible. Yeah, nothing too much. Open up the little slip cover here. Yeah, this Spider-Man looks really cool. Yeah, alright. Now this is a pre-owned figure I got from my local comic book shop, so there is a couple of things that have slight little damage on it, but not too big a deal for me. But just sliding this figure up out of the box. Instructions, of course, down bottom. Gotta make sure you always read those. The Spider-Man hands and gadgets come in this little tray here, and these stupid plastic web wings. I'll try to make them work, but every time I've gotten one of these little web wings effects with these figures, it either just doesn't work correctly or it just looks bad, you know? Like, there's only one figure out there I would possibly think to use the web wings with, and that would be like the Spider-Man 2 video game Spider-Man, you know what I mean? In that advanced suit 2.0. Some other accessories he comes with a phone, a loose mask, those Tony Stark Edith glasses, and that was actually what was the reason I purchased this figure, because I wanted to have a Tom Holland head sculpt in my collection wearing the Edith glasses. So I think that will be eventually how I end up leaving this figure. Just to pop off the top of this tray here and take my first in-person look at this figure. Ooh, yeah, he's very clean, very, very good looking figure. And yeah, that Tom Holland head sculpt looks pretty damn good, although this pre-owned figure, I think maybe this Tom Holland head sculpt took a high dive off the shelf, because it does look like there's a flat spot on his nose. Luckily for me, the Spider-Man figure that is also getting unboxed this weekend and should come out tomorrow also comes with the exact same head sculpt. So I might grab the other one from the other figure and put it on this figure, just so I don't have a little, stumpy flat part on his nose. It's not that noticeable, but I definitely notice it in person. It definitely looks like maybe he took a high dive onto something hard and it like pushed his nose back, or maybe the plastic cover of this was pressing up against it, and just like through the time of it sitting in the box just kind of morphed his nose a little bit. But the head sculpt itself still looks really good. I don't think there's rolling eyes in it, or this would be a perfect head sculpt. No skin tone neck either, but still a damn good looking figure, and you gotta love Spider-Man. So this would be, I think, my fifth? Yeah, so this is going to be my fifth Tom Holland Spider-Man, and actually with the figure that gets unboxed tomorrow, my sixth Tom Holland Spider-Man, and my seventh and eighth total Spider-Man figures, if we're not including their villains. Just, Toby and Tom are as far as my Spider-Man collection goes at the moment, but I'm working on getting some Andrew figures, so stay tuned for more Spider-Man content coming in the future. A pretty nice looking mask as well, so we're definitely going to try all these things out on the figure. Comes with a normal, just kind of old school style base with this weird little part for the base there. I wonder if this is broken. Interesting. I wonder if I'll end up using this, and it's kind of gouged up, and this is the gambit you run when you have some aftermarket figures, you know what I mean? And the only other real accessory I'm seeing that is worth talking about is our boy Peter comes with a little Stark Tech drone that ends up getting taken over by Mysterio, and these are what end up making all those elemental holograms, you know. I really dig Spider-Man Far From Home. I didn't necessarily dig Mysterio, but I loved like that he got out of New York, you know, the first Spider-Man story not in New York, and like him and MJ, you know, it's all about them falling in love and like her figuring out he's Spider-Man, and then it being like, nah, I didn't just like you because I thought you were Spider-Man, I thought you were cute and I have a crush on you, you know, that type of bullshit. And then Tom Holland and Zendaya end up together in real life. You know, you gotta love stuff like that. At least I do, you know, I'm a sucker for a love story. But now that we have everything pulled up out of this box, let's lay it out on the desk in front of me here and take a closer look at everything that Tom Holland's Peter Parker in his upgraded suit comes with. All right, everybody, we have the upgraded Spider-Man suit from Spider-Man Far From Home with all of his accessories laid out on the table in front of us. And just to get into his accessories, starting over by the hands, obviously he comes with some thwipping hands all the way to the left, a couple of splayed out hands where he's kind of maybe just got his spider sense reacted, so he's kind of in like this reacting stance, his classic, you know, spider stance with a hand on the ground, or maybe he's crawling on the walls, or maybe he's got his hands up like, whoa, 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 don't shoot. If you're gonna shoot somebody, shoot at me. Sorry, I was watching Spider-Man Homecoming last night. If you know, you know. And then, of course, he comes with a grabbing web hand with a hole drilled through it for the webs. He comes with a peace hand, which I might end up using, at least for a pose. But the hand that it's supposed to pair up with, right, because the one scene from Spider-Man Far From Home at the end, he's holding the cell phone and then he's throwing up the peace sign. But these are both left hands. So how is he supposed to be holding the phone and throwing up the peace sign if they're on the same side? So that's a little bit of a mistake. And because this is a pre-owned figure, this phone holding hand I won't be able to use either way because this is absolutely destroyed. I don't know what happened here. The palm's destroyed, cracked in there. Yeah, this guy let his cat or something chew this up. I don't know what happened there. But at least it's you know, 100% complete, you know, like it's not just missing. But yeah, definitely seen better days on that hand there. And you can see like the other suit that's getting unboxed this weekend, the black and gold suit, also comes with this hand, but obviously not the same colorway. So not exactly going to be able to use this hand on this figure. But who knows? I do have the battling damage version back there, so maybe I can snag some of his hands and they'll work out and I'll be able to have the, you know, phone holding hand from that figure. But who knows? I'll look into the accessories for that and see if that's something that's capable of doing. But also, you know, the Spider-Man head sculpt on this figure, it looks pretty good, but there's also maybe some problems with it that maybe you can even see from here. And yeah, I don't know if that's how it came or if it's because it's pre-owned, but we'll get into that more in a minute. But down talking more of his accessories, he comes with web wings, and then these ones are for in between the legs. I'm gonna try and do this pose, but I don't even remember him doing web wings with it between the legs in the movie. And the web wings weren't this big, I don't think, from the movie either. So I don't know if that's necessarily screen accurate, but for the Tom Holland head sculpt, there is an empty mask that you can put on the base or tuck in his hand. And yeah, not too much else going on. You can see the spider drone, the Mysterio drone from the Stark Tech, the Edith glasses, a cell phone, the Spider-Man head sculpt masked look, obviously, with regular eyes in there. And then he can have expanded eyes, slightly squinting eyes, maybe slightly less squinting eyes, and then fully closed eyes, as well as you can plug in to either thwipping hand, the web shooters, so you can have, you know, the different web effects coming out of there, or, you know, maybe hanging them upside down. There's also this crotch grabber that might not be the one that came with the figure, because I've never seen one look like that, and it's like padded, so maybe that's for like a leg rather than a waist. And then this little pole comes off, and that is for the Stark Tech drone. But not too much else looking at, so why don't we take a closer look at that figure himself? All right, so just looking more at that Peter Parker head sculpt with the Edith glasses on. I think it looks pretty damn good, and this is really what I wanted for my collection here. I wanted to have this suit with the Edith glasses, and I wanted him to be able to, you know, just more of a museum pose, not really swinging or doing all that dynamic a pose. So this might be how he ends up on my shelf, but I think I might swap in the other head sculpt from the other figure that's getting unboxed this weekend in the black and gold suit, because this head sculpt is the same head sculpt. But look at the hair and see how brown it is. And this one was fresh out of the box. And then look at this hair, you know, and look at this figure and tell me that that hair doesn't look a little weird. So if you look at this hair, is there something wrong with that head sculpt? Like, is there like a whitewash in that head sculpt? Or is it dust? And like, this is just the dustiest head sculpt you've ever seen. And like, this is a pre-owned figure. So, you know, maybe this guy just didn't keep it very well. And you can also see like that dent on his nose there. And I think this figure might have took a high dive at one point in its life, off the top shelf type of thing. But yeah, like it looks like, you know, the hair sculpt doesn't look bad necessarily, but it looks like there's like this whitewash through it, you know, maybe like there's tons of gel in it, you know what I mean? And it's like slicked back, or it's like just dust, you know, but I've never had my figures get this dusty before. So I don't know what this guy did to his Spider-Man head sculpt here, but it doesn't look very good. And it looks like maybe there's a seam line right there where they could have popped off the back of the head and given us some rolling eyes. So I wonder if rolling eyes for this figure could have been a thing. You can see that seam a little bit right there over the ear. But, you know, maybe that was something they were thinking about doing and then they ended up just bailing on it. But yeah, very, very good looking Spider-Man figure, even with the Stark glasses, I think. But yeah, so I really like the way that this Tom Holland figure looks, even with that head sculpt and that pre-owned figure, you know what I mean? So I'm probably going to end up tossing this head sculpt on the figure just for a nicer, cleaner look. But yeah, the suit itself, you know, I have this suit in the battling damage version, which I believe is like the Spider-Man No Way Home version of this suit, you know what I mean? Like at the very beginning of that movie. But still, the clean suit looks really good. And like, you know, I got a little bit of a twist in his torso, so the top end of him is twisted a little bit. But yeah, nice natural stance for him, you know, feet peacocked off to one side or the other, you know, not just standing straight up and down like a zombie. But yeah, nice little Stark drone, which is funny because this one's so small, and I have one over there that the homemade suit is standing on that is so big. You know, like, but I've gotten a few of those little drones now through multiple different Far From Home figures, and you can see the base down here. It says Spider-Man upgraded suit and that mask. So the Spider-Man head sculpt, I think, looks really good, and there is like this seam on top of the head that some people really hate. I don't think it looks as bad as some of the other figures, but, you know, why put the seam directly down the top of the head, guys? Like, there's no other place to put it? I don't know. I feel like that's not the best part or place to put the seam, although it is on the back of the head, so, you know, so maybe you won't see it for the majority part. At least these webs meet, you know, in between the eyes and not on top of the nose. You know, I've seen some mistakes on these figures in the past. I don't know. I think it looks really good. I think the suit looks really good and simple. Red and black instead of red and blue. You know, I remember seeing this figure in this suit for Tom Holland and being like, yeah, this works, man. I'm really here for it. And like, he's, you know, falling in love with Zendaya through Far From Home and dealing with Mysterio and the death of Tony Stark and the aftermath of like Avengers Endgame, you know, so like, Far From Home isn't necessarily the best Spider-Man movie, but it's certainly up there as one of my favorites just because, like, it takes him out of New York. He has this whole love romantic type of rom-com-y, you know, coming-of-age love story between him and Zendaya, and then him and Zendaya end up in real life. And if you guys know from the channel, I am a sucker for a love story. So, you know, I really like the movie for that aspect of things, although I'm not the biggest Mysterio guy. But this suit looks really good, so why don't we toss some of these accessories on him and put this bad boy into some different poses before we do a side-by-side comparison with some of Tom Holland's other Spider-Man suits. All right, everybody, we have Tom Holland's
upgraded Spider-Man suit from Spider-Man Far From Home, just spinning around on the turntable for us here, just standing straight up and down just as he comes fresh out of the box. But he has the Mysterio drone down on the base and the Edith glasses and the phone he comes with. But he's wearing his Spider-Man mask at the moment, so we'll put those other accessories to use in a moment. But trying to show off some of the articulation for this figure, and I have him kind of in a kneeling Spider-Man pose. I wanted to get him with his hand on the ground outstretched in front of him, but some of the articulation for this figure with the suit material is just a little stiff in certain joints in certain areas. And then I tossed the web wings on him, which I normally don't even attempt to try these, but I figured why not put them on, see if they work. And it looks like they do work, but then from here, how would you display this figure flying? You can't put a clamp around his waist. You couldn't put it around his leg because he's got leg wings as well as arm wings. So I don't know. The web wings, is as much as it's a cool idea and it's something from the movie, I think it looks pretty dumb. But then back to a more traditional pose. I have Spider-Man thwipping like he's swinging away and maybe swinging away from that Mysterio drone that's flying right over his shoulder, maybe chasing after him. And then I got goofy with it and I decided to put him upside down like Spider-Man sometimes does, like he repels from the ceiling. And he's also throwing up a peace sign because he's a quippy, funny little spider. And then I was trying my utmost to do that one scene from the movie towards the end when Tom Holland defeats Mysterio, you know what I mean? And he spikes one of the drones in front of him. I tried to get it like he was in the middle of spiking that drone, but maybe I could do better. But just showing off that he can at least pose without the flight pole, without a crotch grabber, and can do things like holding the drone out in front of him. But then in his final pose, and likely what I will end up leaving him on the shelf like, with the Tom Holland head sculpt on that I actually grabbed from another figure because it was the same head sculpt as the one that came with this, but this was a pre-owned figure, so I didn't necessarily like the condition the head sculpt was in. So this is the Tom Holland head sculpt from the black and gold suit, and he has the Edith glasses on, and he has the arcane web device from Doctor Strange on this black and red suit rather than the black and gold suit as well, stealing some of his accessories like the head sculpt and that golden device. But then he's got the empty Spider-Man mask and the Mysterio drone and a phone in his hand, and he is texting MJ and she's saying, "Don't swing and text," instead of texting and driving. "Don't swing and text. What are you doing? You're gonna crash into a building there, Spider-Man. Come on." But I think this figure looks really good. And I think the red and black upgraded suit, you know, as much as most people, when you think of Spider-Man, you think of red and blue, which I still do when I think of Spider-Man. But when I'm thinking of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I'm thinking of him with those Edith glasses, with his handsome hair, with his chiseled jawline, and the red and black suit that he makes at the end of Far From Home. You know, and I'm still actually a big fan of the red and blue suit that we see him, you know, first in the MCU in Civil War, in some parts of Homecoming. And Spider-Man Homecoming to me is still so underrated. To me, that's one of my favorite Spider-Man movies in the MCU, let alone, you know, just Spider-Man films. It's like one of my favorites, period, you know? And I'm so glad that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is getting a fourth Spider-Man movie with Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out later this summer, and I can't wait for that. Oh, and we need to get a trailer ASAP. But in the meantime, why don't we go toss this upgraded Spider-Man suit from Far From Home over on my Spider-Man shelf and see how he compares up against some other Tom Holland Spider-Man figures in the rest of my Spider-Man collection.
All right, you sexies. Now we are looking at the Spider-Man shelf in my collection. I do have two other Spider-Man figures down there with No Way Home, Doctor Strange, and Doc Ock, which I would love to integrate into the shelf at one point as well, but maybe that will take some more space or just more time than I have at the current moment. But for now, I like those guys down there. I think those pair up decently together, and they're right below the Spider-Man shelf with big old Venom back there, Green Goblin off to the right. We got the battling damage suit over on the left. And yeah, so the suit we unboxed today, the upgraded suit, is just the clean version of that battling damage suit back there. And you can see it's not even like that battle damaged, it's battling damaged. So it's got like just some black little scuff marks all over it, which I find funny, you know, because it's really still a pretty clean suit, but it does have some more battle damage than how bright and clean this suit is, which I do love how clean this suit is. So that's why he's up front, you know, and he's got the Doctor Strange device from the black and gold suit put on this figure, and he has the Edith glasses on the head sculpt from the black and gold suit as well. And if you guys missed the unboxing for the black and gold suit, go check that out, and the link should be at the end of this video. And yeah, so we got the upgraded suit, which is the same as that battling version suit, which eventually gets upgraded again from the upgraded suit into the integrated suit. And some of the nanotech that Spider-Man puts onto Doc Ock's claws ends up getting put back onto his suit, and he has this golden look. And I actually quite love the way that the golden look looks, because it's like half of the black and gold and half of the integrated suit, and you get a little bit of gold, you get red, you still get the Spider-Man mask, but then you still get the black elements from this suit. And yeah, I think it really works well, the integrated suit, quite a bit. And I like that base that he comes on, and I really love the pose that I've had that figure in. I probably should switch that up at some point, but it's just one of those poses where it's so good the first time that you're like, I don't know if I can move that. You know, same with my Homecoming figure over there. I'm like, I don't know if I can move it. It looks too good. Same with that battling version back there, you know, no crotch grabber or waist grabber, and I have that thing standing at that crazy angle on top of that base, which is already at a crazy angle, you know, so just to get that thing to stay is a feat. But you know, now I have, you know, another Spider-Man, another Spider-Man, another Spider-Man, no, you know, crotch grabbers or waist grabbers, you know, so maybe I gotta invest in some crotch grabbers for these guys, but it is what it is. They're standing, they rarely fall down. This one probably is the most problematic fall down figure, so that's why he's still up front and he's not in the back falling over. But yeah, for the moment, this is my Spider-Man shelf, mostly Tom Holland figures, and I'm still on a quest to get all of the Tom Holland Spider-Man figures. So I think it would go, the first time we see him, he's in a red and blue Stark Tech suit. But, you know, technically this Homecoming suit is his first one. And then it would be the Stark Tech one, so I still got to get that. And then in Spider-Man Far From Home, he has the Stark Tech suit and the Iron Spider suit from like Infinity War and Endgame. And then I believe he gets the stealth suit, and then he gets the upgraded suit at the end of Far From Home, and then he goes right into No Way Home with that suit, and that's how he gets that little device from Doctor Strange. But then somebody throws green goop on this suit, so then he turns it inside out, and that's what ends up with the black and gold suit. May cleans the suit, so he ends up back in the upgraded suit, and then Doc Ock ends up putting the golden nanotech device in that suit. So that is where we're at for Tom Holland Spider-Man figures, and that's like technically the last time we've seen him, other than the post-credit scene with the red and blue suit that's like a homemade red and blue suit that it looks like will change and will be in a different suit by the time we get to Brand New Day. So very interesting that that's like the progression of Tom Holland Spider-Man suits. But comment below if I'm missing any of them, or if I forgot to name any. But yeah, so I think I just need the Stark suit, the Iron Spider suit, and I think I just named one other one that I need. Oh, the red and blue suit from the end of No Way Home. And then, of course, once Brand New Day comes out, I'll need to get the Brand New Day suit. But I think I also need to get a red and blue Toby figure. I need to get some more Andrew figures. I don't have any Andrew figures at all at the moment, so I need an Andrew Spider-Man. I need his villain, Electro. I kind of want to get a lizard, but maybe I'll get like the lizard base, and maybe I'll get like the Sandman base instead of getting those figures, and just like kind of call it a day with that. But I definitely want to have a Tom Holland, a Toby, and an Andrew all standing next to each other for the Spider-Man, you know, pointing pose meme, you know, or even just side by side, and just having the three Spider-Man all together, I think would be fitting and perfect, you know, for my collection. But comment below, what figure would you like to see me unbox next, and what Spider-Man figure should I go grab next? And if there's any figures out there that I forgot to mention for Tom Holland, or any of his colorways for his suits, please let me know down below so I can go cop those for you. And if you guys have made it this far, I highly appreciate it. It really goes a long way to supporting the channel. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the best way to do that is dropping a like on this video, commenting down in the comment section below, or you can send me your thoughts to my other social medias, links down in the description below. And make sure you guys hit that bell so you don't miss future Hot Toys figure unboxings, and you get the notifications when those come out. And once again, my name's Big Cam. Thank you guys so much for making it this far. It means the world to me, and I will see you gorgeous folks in the next figure unboxing, which I believe is that black and gold Spider-Man suit, but I'll leave a link at the end of this video, or just stay tuned for tomorrow, and it should be dropping. I like to post my videos about 6 a.m. Eastern time, so, you know, it might be 3 a.m. on the Pacific Coast time, but I figure it might be 6 p.m. over somewhere in Europe, so I don't know. I feel like that 6 a.m. is a good time, but if not, you know, let me know down below when you'd like to see these videos and what you want to see next. But once again, my name is Big Cam, and I will see you gorgeous folks in the next video. Peace.